Welcome back. This is CN2 Sports. I'm very excited with the guest that I have on set today, Jimbo, a retired NFL referee. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for coming out to join us. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
I am too.
So start by telling me how you got involved in this and maybe some of the things you've been involved in.
Well, it started a long time ago. I played sports in high school, and then I went on to Erskine College and played basketball there. And I was really looking for a way to stay involved. And it's kind of a funny story in that actually I was a PE major. But at that time when I graduated, I couldn't find a coaching job. And so my dad had been a high school football referee and a basketball referee. And so he said, why don't you get involved in officiating? I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think I want to do that, you know. But I gave it a shot and I liked it. And you know, it was a way back then just to earn a little bit of money and have a good time and go out and be involved in sports. And that's really how I started officiating.
Yeah, so you started officiating that way, and you've really got an awesome resume of things that you've done. So talk about just a few of those, maybe a few of your favorites.
Okay, you know, people always ask me, you know, how do you start off in officiating? And everybody pretty much starts off the same way. You start off doing rec games, junior high games, middle school games, varsity games. And you do, you know, of course we have the classifications here in South Carolina, 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A now. And so you start off with that, 1A games, 2A games, build it up, hopefully have some success, work some championship games, state championship games, that kind of stuff. And then when you're in high school, if you want to move to the next level, you make an application to a college conference. They'll come around and look at you, kind of the same way with the pros. Once you've been in a major college conference for 5 years, you can make an application to the NFL and they'll come around, they scout you also. So there'll be a lot of games that I did not know somebody would be there watching me, and then I would get some kind of feedback maybe a couple of days after the games. So.
That's really cool. So he says some state championships, but you were involved in 12, right?
Yeah, I had a little bit of success.
You had a lot of state championships. Yeah. So I told a couple friends that I was going to be sitting down with you today, and we came up with some fun questions. So the first one would be, which I thought was interesting, how does an official, how do you prepare for a game? How do you practice? Do you watch film? I mean, how do you do that?
That's a very good question, but yes, we do. Really, even at all levels, from college level to the pros, these guys they're not considered full-time, but they are full-time, because to do it right, you have to study the rules throughout the year. You have to watch video throughout the year, and obviously the higher levels, the more intense and the better the players are. And so ironically, the players learn these little tricks. And so you have to learn the tricks. You have to learn how to look for these little tricks, like a slight pull of the arm, a slight pull of the jersey, that kind of stuff. And you see these on video. And so at my house, I have a little room. This is my study room. And a lot of times I would go to that room, and my wife and daughter would know, oh, he's up there looking at video again. He's watching video. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of video. Obviously, when you're in the league, there's a certain expectation for your appearance. So it's a way of working out, dieting. That I don't miss so much with the retirement anymore. You know?
For sure.
It's a lot of study, a lot of rule study.
I can imagine. Well, let's move on. The next question I would have, in the time that you've been officiating, what's been the hardest rule change? I mean, you've seen it all, and in a sense, you've seen football get safer too. So what's been the hardest change to get used to? Well,
obviously, being in the NFL, I think the aspect of replay has changed the game tremendously.
Yeah.
We were always under a microscope, but now with replay, they can slow everything down. They can really make it look whatever they want it to look like. But replay has changed the way games are officiated now.
Yeah.
If you're not sure on a call, you know, you go ahead and let it be a fumble, and replay can come back and put his knee down or put his elbow down or something like that. If it's a really close catch on the sideline, you give them a catch. Let replay come back and take it away. So replay is, for me, I think that's been the major thing that I've seen in officiating through all my years of officiating is replay coming into the game.
Yeah, that's a great tool to have, and I completely agree with everything you said, just being a fan watching it, and it's cool to see the replays happen. But that is actually all the time that we have for in this newscast. We are going to catch back up with Jimbo in another newscast, so back to you at the desk.
Fascinating. Again, that conversation will continue with Jim Howie next week in CN2 Sports. He'll talk about the very vocal players that he had encounters with and about the time he was knocked out by another player, that and much more.